That's awesome.
What I'm saying about the Diaz brothers is that I'm a huge fan of the Diaz brothers because I love exactly what you said. I love it that they're just unapologetically themselves.
Yes.
But I feel like that sometimes it's overshadowed their talent in a way. You know what I mean? Because when you see like what's going on right now, I mean, I'm a Conor McGregor fan too. I love watching him fight. He's great for, I get like the whole, like the showman aspect of it and kind of the Mayweather thing, like he's really been able to sell exactly what you were saying, sell fights. But like, the thing again there, I'm not sure what he's doing right now with Nate Diaz, because if you watch Nate Diaz fights, either Nate Diaz is going to finish you or you're going to win on points. But like, I don't know, the Diaz brothers don't really get finished that often. And like for Conor, like, I just feel like I get it that it's like probably a personal challenge and it's turned into like a war, but I'm just kind of like, you're either going to come out of that fight like really wrecked and with a win, or you're going to lose.
Yeah, and I respect that he wants to fight him again because, especially after the way that went the first time. I mean, Conor could look at that first fight and say, you know what, I had a lot of success in the beginning, and then he got tired and whatnot. That was what, a round and a half. I mean, now with a full camp and a 5-round fight. And now Diaz has a camp. I mean, I think there's a reason why he took this fight at 170. He's saying he wants to take the fight at the same exact weight that he lost at. But I think it's a smart move in a sense by Conor because, he gets his ass handed to him by Diaz again. He could say, you know what? All right, I had my tango with these guys at 170. Now let me get some big fights at 155, 145. So business-wise, I think he's playing it smart. Because not for nothing, he keeps he keeps bringing up how Diaz is a bigger man. Diaz is a lightweight. I mean, he might be walking around at 2 bills now, but the dude fights most of his career at lightweight. He's had fights at 170 and some success, but he's always shined as a lightweight. So the fact that he doesn't want to fight him there is a little suspicious. But, I think he's being a smart businessman because I do feel that Diaz... Listen, I can't fucking wait for this fight this weekend.
Yeah.
I cannot wait,
Look,
but I do...
Me too.
Who are you picking? Who are you picking,
fan.
Benji?
I'm going to pick Conor.
Oh, really?
Just like I'd like to think that he's gone back and he's really kind of like come up with like a game plan that he's going to stick to and not get drawn into a different fight. But I just watch him and I'm kind of like watching this guy that's on this run, and I'm kind of like, but I get what you're saying, and I think you're probably right, and that's what and I think me just as like a fan, just kind of like I think that's what girls have, kind of like fashion and gossip, and guys we sit around and we kind of like we critique athletes.
No, for sure.
You have a really good point there, and I would like to see Conor pull it off because I think he's so good for the sport. But like I said, I love Nate Diaz too, and his whole attitude and the way that they do their thing.
And like you said, to beat Nate Diaz, I mean, it's very, very, very difficult. He only got stopped in his whole UFC career once by that Josh Thompson with that kick, and I mean, he's very, very hard to take out. So, and not for nothing, and all credit to Conor. Conor's not a point fighter. Connor's looking to take you out. So that's what's really exciting about this is that 5 rounds, one guy's not making it through.
What do you think, Matt?
I believe that I'm going to say by round 3 or 4, I think Diaz is going to get to him.
Yeah,
if not sooner, and I think he's going to have that gas tank where it should be, and he's not going to have to use that first round just to warm up. Where, I mean, that's what he really had to gauge.
Right.
A lot of it's how much, you have to gauge your output, man. Like, he puts a lot out, and next thing you know, you have nothing to carry over.
Also damage. There's also, you're not getting out of fighting Nate Diaz without, like, a lot of damage.
Oh, yeah, man, yeah. And you saw that turning point in that fight where Diaz, he landed this one punch flush, and then you saw Conor just hesitate for a second. And that's where you just saw the tide turn, and then what? All Diaz needs that, and he gets a glimpse of it, just a little. All he needs is just to feel like you lay off that gas a little bit, and then he steps on the gas, and then he doesn't have to take the foot off. You know what I mean? So Yeah, so I mean, I think Connor's got his work cut out for him. But again, I think the guy, as much as he talks, I think he's very, very professional, and I think he's doing a lot. He's in a ton of homework on what to do and what not to do as far as with exerting that much energy. So I think, man,
Hmm.
I just really I can't wait to see his approach to it. Is he just going to attack the body? Is he going to do that in the early rounds? Is he going to be smarter with that instead of just throwing a lot of power shots? Is he going to look to put it down, which I don't recommend? Man, I mean, again, and listen, this is why we watch, So I can't wait either for this
Yeah.
weekend.
And you fought
Yeah.
Ricky Rackman. I got to ask about you because you've actually experienced fighting. How did that come about, and how good was he?
That was kind of like, I just thought that the funny thing about that whole thing was that I kind of got coaxed into it by a friend of mine who, it was his thing. It was Jason Ellis.
Oh yeah,
Who
Jason,
was a
sure.
buddy of mine.
Yeah, we know
And
Jason.
and I really was kind of like, I don't want to, number one, I don't like these kind of like, like celebrity boxing matches and kind of like that whole thing. I just think it's really silly. But I love Jason, and I went and I was working out at a gym where he worked out at a cool little boxing gym in LA, and then Ricky Rackman he was really going hard at me, saying all kinds of stuff, and I was like, listen, man, if you want to fight, like, we can fight in here. We don't have to go and make a thing of it. And he's like, no, I've been training for 3 years, and I just want to know what it feels like to fight in front of a crowd.
Do
And
you,
I was
wait,
like,
was he coming at you hard and nasty, or just to say, hey, let's fight?
no, now, like saying all kinds of wild shit. And I was like, and I just kept saying, and I'm not like I'm pretty good at turning the other cheek. It's very hard to get me riled up. I just don't. I'm a very patient person. It's very tough to get to me. And finally, I just pulled him aside because it was whenever there was kind of like Ellis was around, and like he was always kind of trying to film stuff for his website, and I would always just kind of laugh it off and whatever. And then I just pulled him aside, and I was like, listen, man, if you really want to fight, like, we can just fight in here. And then, like, if you're just looking to, like, test me or test yourself, whatever. And he's like, no, in all honesty, I want to fight in front of a crowd and whatever. I've been in here training for, like, a few years, and I want to fight. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, that's fine. We can do that. And then once I committed, I was like, am I really going to go do this? and then we did it, and it ended up being fun. Not so much, I think, for him, but I had a bunch of friends out in Vegas that weekend, and it ended up being fun. It was definitely something different than what I do because, I think when you go on stage to play a show, you do get a little bit of, I'd imagine, like, and that, I don't know what it's like when you're walking out to go into the octagon, but, like, there's a rush when you go on stage when the lights go down and you hear the arena, and you do get this rush, and next thing you know, the show's over. It's a lot of adrenaline, and I definitely enjoyed that aspect of it a lot, much like playing music. But it was, I had fun. It was fun to set your mind to something and kind of work out and train for it, and then do it and win too.
Not a ton. How many rounds was it?
It was only one round.
Oh, but it was scheduled for how many rounds?
3 rounds.
Okay. 2-minute rounds, 3-minute rounds?
It was 2-minute rounds. It was scheduled for 3 2-minute rounds. I think that's what they do there.
Yeah.
It was a while ago, and I ended up knocking him out.
Nice.
He didn't get back up.
How did that feel?
It was good because by that point he had made it really personal, and like I said, I don't get too riled up by anyone, And by this time I was like, you know what, like, this is gonna be fun. So.
Where can I see that, Benji? Where can I check that out? Can I find that on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Listen, I want to, and that's great that you experienced that. Did you ever do any amateur boxing or anything? Was that the first time you've sparred before? I'm sure. I mean.
Yeah, I got the gym that I was working out at was really cool with a guy named Justin Fortune, who's a really great coach, and I enjoyed working with him. But I actually wrestled from the time I was in 6th grade through high school. And I got to do a little bit of competition that way, which is, it's a lot different high school wrestling, but we had like big tournaments and stuff, and I really liked it and missed it once I started the band. We started Good Charlotte in 1996, which I was still in high school, and so it's actually 20 years this year. It was 20 years as a band. But once I really got into music and kind of decided that I didn't really care about finishing school, and I was just kind of like got out of sports. And actually wrestling as a whole was probably one of the things that I think I'm most thankful for in my life as like a building block for my work and everything that I had to do to make it in music. A lot of that came from that, I think as a young kid going through wrestling programs at the schools. I think that was really helpful through my whole life.